What's going on, all you science fiction horror enthusiasts? Your two favorite movie critics are back tonight for the 31 Days of Horror. We're covering the science fiction horror film from director Paul W.S. Anderson. It's starring Laurence Fishburne and Sam Neill. We're talking about Event Horizon.
This movie came out in 1997. Great year for us, going into junior high school for us. Great time for music and films. This being yet another, great example of that sci-fi film that hit the big screen. Back then I remember watching this, and probably the last time I saw this was back in 97, but directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. No stranger to him, directing Resident Evil, and the list goes on and on. Essentially, the setup of this: a rescue crew investigates a spaceship that disappears into a black hole, going to rescue it. It comes out, and there's something else on board, and really sets up the rest of the film.
So many years earlier, the ship, the Event Horizon, went out into space and disappeared off the face of the earth. So Laurence Fishburne plays the chief of this new crew that's going to go up into space, along with the actual builder of the Event Horizon, Weir, played by Sam Neill. It's the two of them as the main leads in this film. You also see some actors and actresses that you'll recognize their faces here. I recognize Jolie Richardson. She's been in a lot of stuff. And of course, Jason Isaacs. He's one of the crew members. And then Alfred. Sean Pertwee, who played Alfred. Yes, the butler Alfred from, Bruce Wayne. And was it Gotham, the Gotham series on that. So a lot of familiar faces here from this time. They were, just getting started in the film industry. Some have been in there for longer, of course. But yeah, basically you're getting a balls to the wall science fiction horror film. Once they're able to find the Event Horizon, they realize that basically the ship's been possessed. Some evil, evil force of some kind basically killed the crew, and they're going to investigate it. And they one by one kind of start getting picked off, and they see this evil that's taken over the Event Horizon, and it's up to Laurence Fishburne and Sam Neill to keep as much of the crew alive as possible and figure out just what happened on the Event Horizon and try to make it out, because they only have 17 or 18 hours before basically they're going to disappear themselves. There's only one way out, and they have only a limited amount of time before they're going to never be heard from again.
That's exactly it. And then this movie really stands out to me in terms of the effects. Obviously, the practical effects in this movie are top notch, really setting that spooky atmosphere you want to watch during the Halloween season. And revisiting this movie, all these years later, the effects still hold up. They still look really spooky. And Sam Neill, a few scenes, I'm not going to say too much if you haven't seen it, but what kind of turns into him is really, really well done. And alongside a lot of characters in this movie that come across the sort of darkness and evil and what happens to them and what they become, essentially.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see about the production of this, because everything looks really awesome. It looks really realistic. The inside of the ship's interiors and everything looks great. Looks it rivals anything that Ridley Scott and everybody did on Alien. It really brings it into the 90s, pushing into the 2000s. They were able to do more with the effects, and they all look really good, for being rudimentary CGI that had to be used. I thought everything looked pretty fantastic as far as that, and they used practical effects with all the horror elements in this film. And just seeing some of the disturbing scenes that they did with the bodies being ripped open, and actually seeing the evil that takes hold of the ship and goes through the crew one by one, and to see a younger Laurence Fishburne go up against it, he really feels like the lead in this. He's got confidence. He's seeing hallucinations, and it's getting to him, but he's not fully letting it possess him. And as the story goes on, he really has to battle that. Everybody on the crew has to work together in order to make it out alive. And no spoilers here, but some really brutal scenes here in this film. I really had a blast, and this is a great movie to watch during the 31 Days of Horror. And if you're a big science fiction enthusiast and mixed with horror, it doesn't get much better than this. That's a great mix of science fiction and horror.
Absolutely. And we're going back to the effects, even the the CGI looks good, like out in space. It looks like a movie that's a more modern movie. I couldn't tell you it was in 1997. They did a great job with that. The whole atmosphere of the movie is pretty spooky. I like the inside of the ship, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
It's really well done. Production value, really, set design was fantastic, and it really stands the test of time all these years later. So it looks good. You know, definitely a movie you have to watch during the Halloween season. Sci-fi and horror mixed into one, and again, the effects really took the cake on this one. The best part of it. Sam Neill, Laurence Fishburne, the MVPs of this movie. Laurence Fishburne in sci-fi flicks, I don't know, it just works. He's a badass. He was great. Absolutely. You know, obviously Matrix that came out during the same time. Sam Neill in The Mouth of Madness, Jurassic Park, and Event Horizon. He was having, you know, a really big part of his career in the 90s. And this is really great performance by him and the rest of the supporting cast. So I highly recommend. So that being said, I'm giving Event Horizon a 3.5 out of 5 Sam Neill hair pieces.
I'd have to say this is Paul W.S. Anderson's best film, my favorite film from him. Very well done, very you know, underappreciated, and hopefully it gets more viewers as time goes by. It's really effective. I've watched it once before, probably closer to when it came out, if not the same year it came out in 97. But yeah, I really enjoyed it watching the second time. My eyes were glued to the screen the whole time. The creepy atmosphere that's set up in there, that claustrophobic feeling in space when you never know what's going on. Plus you mix that with, you know, something actually evil in that ship. It's really effective and, you know, a spooky time. And the body horror that's shown in here, the gore, is up to a 9 too. Really enjoyed it. And I'm going to give Event Horizon, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 Jason Isaacs hair pieces. So we want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of Event Horizon? Is this one of the movies that you like to revisit every Halloween season? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to click like and subscribe. And follow along with us all month long during the 31 Days of Horror. We're going to be covering so many horror movies and TV shows. A lot of great movies and TV shows to cover this month, both old and new. We're going back in time. We're going in the present. We're going to be all over the horror map, giving you guys, you know, some classics, some, you know, not as well-known movies and shows, but we're going to be covering it all across the map during these 31 Days of Horror. And make sure you guys also follow along with our social media pages, where we always update the latest movie news, although there hasn't been much lately with the writer's strike and all that. Whenever there is anything that we hear, we throw it up on there, so you guys get the latest information as always. So make sure to follow along with these boys.
That about wraps it up for this review in 31 Days of Horror. I am Logan Fishburne. That's my good mate over there.
And I'm Henry Neill. And until the next 31 Days of Horror movie review, cheers!